Okay, Barb, I'm going to try and explain this checking account simulation to you, and then you can kind of decide if you, it's a in-depth or it's a big process. So if you want to do it, great. If not, I totally understand that too, and you can just do the assignments in the binder. But so I got this from here. So this is just mine. That's why there's like a million things on here, because different years we do kind of different things. So um, this first one, October 2016, we did this in the fall. And so um, they can start this in March or in April, I guess. So anyway, um, those cups that I have, you'll set all those out, and like on the first day, I think there's one that says married or single, so they'll choose out of the cup. Then it'll be how many kids they have and where they live. So they will put in here um, how many, kind of what their situation is. And then, dependent on if they are married or single, you will do their paycheck. So, if they're married, we just say they get two paychecks, and if they're single, they get one. So, they will add those two together if they are married and put that number here in total household income, or if they're single, they'll just put that one amount in. So, then the other thing that we do is you give them each a checkbook register, and the registers are right in there, and they'll already have stuff in them from prior semesters. I just get them to like the next blank page and just have them start there. So there's a number on the outside of each checkbook register, so you just assign one to each kid. Um, so they will then put their total household income in. So they will, like, just say this person makes $1,750 a month. So this is probably just a single person. Maybe this person, just pretend, works at Carroll Community Schools, so they'll put that in, and then they'll add this into their balance. I give every kid $5,000 to start. So in their checkbook register, they'll start with 5,000, and then like this person would add in 1,750. So when you start, um, I will give you just a blank one of these that you can put on Google Classroom. Um, and what happens is this is just kind of normal stuff. And so I go through and I talk about how, you don't have to give to church, you don't have to give to the Cancer Society, but, you should be giving somewhere. So if you don't see yourself giving to the Cancer Society, but you would maybe give to like autism research, then I'd want them to put that in. So I make them give to two different things. Then you're saving, they should all have those three. Housing, if they decide to rent their home, then this would be rent, and they wouldn't have real estate taxes, and they would have renter's insurance. But if you own your home, you'd have a mortgage, you'd have taxes, and homeowner's insurance. Now, like you can see for mine, when I did my example, because I have a mortgage, I talked about how you can escrow, and so you don't really pay your insurance and taxes as a separate bill each month. That just all goes into my mortgage. So what the amount I'm budgeting is zero, but my mortgage amount is 500, and they will pick this out of a hat or out of a cup, I think, and so they will know what their house payment is. Then you have all your utilities, food, transportation, clothing, medical, all those things. So this is how I generally do this. I give them a blank one of these things, cash flow plans. And so how it looks when it's blank is, none of this is filled in, obviously. None of this, oops. None of this is filled in. Oh my gosh, hold on. Okay, I gotta get this all cleared out. Clear. I really could have had this done before I did this for you. I don't even know how to do it. I just Okay, so this is how it'll look like when you give it to them. So then they'll put in their total household income. I'm just going to put in like 2,000 just to show you. And then I want them, without doing any research, to start guessing about how much each of these things they should budget for. So they're going to have no clue. So like this person is 25, lives in Des Moines, works at Wells Fargo, single, and the household income is 30,000. So I want them to start going through and guessing about how much they're going to give to each. And they will have absolutely no clue. So they'll get to like their mortgage. Some of them will put like 200, some will put like 4,000. I mean, they don't get it at all. So they will budget all this out. So you can do that kind of in one day. And I don't want them to look online or talk to a friend or anything because I want them to see how different it really is. Then um, what happens is you'll start doing the simulation. So you'll give them like what their house payment is. And so they will write a check to a bank for the house payment, and then they'll put in what they actually spent in this month here. So maybe on the first day they might get their mortgage and maybe a car payment or something. I don't know. So then they'll come down here and put in what they are. So the cash flow plan goes along with the checking account simulation you're doing. So just so you kind of know, I give everyone a house payment. If they're married, they get 2 paychecks. If they're single, they get 1. For car payments, before they start, when they pick how many kids they have, if they have like 3 kids, before we do anything, I make them write down how old they are. And so I do that first. And then, like when I give a car payment, I say anyone who's 16 or above in your household has a car payment. So that might be one person, that might be you and your spouse. If they have all their kids above 16, they do that. I make their kids be anywhere from 1 to 21. So they're, still living at home. Then you get to things like groceries. So I usually say, if you have to have one for you, your spouse, and if you have kids, you got to have one more. So maybe you get 3 groceries or something like that. I'm trying to think what other ones I have without being there. They each get an emergency. They each, I can't even think what things they are, but you can kind of just make it up however you want. So like for fun, sometimes if I've already done like, the people that chose their kids being old and they had a whole bunch of money out for car payments, I might say, well, if your kids are under 10, then you got to choose a fund for each of them, or when you get to phones, maybe you say everyone that has a 13-year-old and above has to do a phone or something like that. Then there's going to be quite a few other things on here that you didn't pick out of a hat. So just to make it easy, I usually just do like 50, 50, 50, 50, 50 for all your utilities. I talk about how families can choose. Some families go out to eat a lot, so they don't have a huge grocery bill. Other families have a big grocery bill, but they never eat out. That's kind of how Randy and I are. We spend a lot of money on groceries because we do a lot of cooking, but we don't eat out very much. Maybe I don't know what you and Joel do, but you could say, you guys eat out a lot, but you don't have as many groceries. Just kind of give some examples. I don't remember if I have gas or not, but I just kind of talk about, what is your life like? Did you have 3 car payments? Well, then you're going to have more gas than the person next to you that, only has one person driving. Clothing. Some of you are going to want to go shopping a whole bunch. Some of you aren't. And, like I'm not a huge shopper, but I have, 3 little kids that are getting, need new clothes every season. So I do have a big clothing bill, even though I'm not personally going out and shopping just a whole bunch. But you could have someone else who really loves to shop, and that's where they're spending their money. I talk a lot about how, like, Randy and I, the one fun thing that we do is we do pay to join a golf course. So not everyone in the class needs to have golf dues here, but they could have like a gym membership, or they could have, you know, maybe they hunt or fish or whatever. Vacation. Randy and I don't vacation a lot, so we don't budget a lot for that. But some people, that's what they love to do, so they're going to want to put some of their money there. Blow money is just for fun. I talk about if you say no to every single thing, um, you're not that much fun to be around either. So you got to have just some money set aside so that when your friend says you want to go get pizza or want to go to a movie, that you can do that and you're not just ruining your whole budget. But you can't say yes every single time someone asks you to do something. So we kind of talk about, how you do that. Then, are you going to have student debt? Are you going to have card loans? Are you going to have a credit card? I tell a story about how when Randy and I met before we started doing all this stuff, I had all these things. We each had student loans and car payments and credit cards. But we did the debt snowball and we worked to pay those off. And now, that was a lot of money every month that we were paying that we don't pay anymore. Even if you had like each had a $300 school loan or something, and just say each had a $300 car payment, and just say you paid $100 on a credit card every month. Even just that amount, that's over $1,000 that we were paying every single month just because we were in debt. Now, if we don't have any debt, we're saving that amount. So I just kind of talk through this. Like we paid for Netflix. Maybe, we don't do that anymore because maybe we pay something else. I don't know. We talk about gift giving, that if you don't ever budget for giving gifts, it sneaks up on you, and I kind of talk about how I have a mom and a dad, and Randy's got a mom and a dad, and we have 3 kids, and we all have Randy and I both have brothers, and if we're getting stuff for our nieces and nephews, there's gifts every single month you could be paying for. And, when you think about Christmas, we do especially in the first semester when Christmas is, we actually do a budget activity on how much it's going to be to pay for Christmas. And it's a lot of money. And if you don't budget for that, it kind of sneaks up on you and you end up putting it on a credit card or something else. So anyway, go through the budget. Then they'll get their things. They'll start writing checks to each of the places that they draw out of the hat. Then this will start adding up for you. So all they need to do here, I'm just going to put some of these things in. I know this doesn't really make sense, but at least you can kind of see. So I want to know how much of their take-home pay each of these things are. So I need to do equals what they actually spent that month, what they actually spent divided by what their take-home pay was. And I press enter, and it tells me this one was 3%. And I do equals this divided by their take-home pay. This is going to take them a while. 3%, I'm going to do one that's not, equals what they actually spent divided by their take-home pay. And you can see how much they are, what percentage of their take-home pay. So you can tell them if you have 30% of your take-home pay on eating out, that probably doesn't make sense, right? But if you only have 1% to giving, that doesn't really make sense either. So these numbers right here are about what he said, Dave Ramsey says you should be spending on each of these categories. So like for giving, should be about 10 to 15% of your take-home pay. Saving should be about 5 to 10. Your housing needs to be somewhere between 25 and 35%. So these are given. This is the total of everything you actually spent in that column. And then this number, this percentage, is the total divided by your take-home pay. So I just do, if it's not in there, you do equals this divided by your take-home pay. And so then what I do is I make them tell me if this is in the green or in the red. So you can see if I put a huge number in here, that automatically turned to red. And how they do that is they click on each one of these things. So I'm going to start on this one first, and I'm going to say format and conditional formatting. And this wouldn't be in there if I hadn't done it already. Okay, so I'm just going to, this is what it would look like. So I'm going to add a new rule and say, okay, if this is greater than 0.15 or 15%, then I want it to go to red. And then I'm going to add another rule. If it's less than 15%, then it can be green. And I say done. So it says if it's greater than this top number, make it red. If it's less than that top number, make it green. Then I'm going to go on to my next one. And I'm going to say, okay, if it's greater than 10%, make it red. If it's less than 10, make it green. I'm going to go to the next one. And I'm going to go, and you can see I haven't done these formatting yet. So I'd have to go through each of these things and do conditional formatting. I will try and give it to you already formatted where it just works, but I'm not sure when they make a copy if it's going to stay that way. But that is about how you do the checking account simulation. So you just make them write the checks, balance their checkbook so they're learning that, and at the same time they're learning how to do a cash flow plan.